This is The Long War. I'm Rob Baer, and joining me once again is my partner in crime, Kenny Boucher. What's up, dog?
Yo, dog, great to be here.
I don't know. It's been a weird day. It was a weird day up until the events of earlier, but I think it's just been a weird day overall. How are you doing?
Uh, Normal day for me.
Yeah?
There's a new league out for PoE too, so I've been sneaking a lot of hours of video gaming in. So like new season of my video games come out, work suffers, season gets stale, booms. You know what I mean? Uh, we made some interesting headway on Bolters or Bourbon and Bolters today too.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, we got some really sexy sponsorships coming uh, to your house actually.
Mm.
So keep a lookout. Game Envy and Monument Hobbies sending thick swag for these VIP gift bags. Like I'm actually thinking we're putting we have a form that's going out soon for like preferences and like beer and stuff like that. But I'm actually
Uh-huh.
thinking about putting on the form. Consider bringing an empty luggage.
Ooh, yeah.
Because like
That much stuff.
that's how thick the sweat the just the walk in door swag is at right now.
You
Like
need you need a carry on for the swag.
yeah, everyone like right at the gate, everyone who walks in is getting an exemplar wet palette.
Those are those are pretty cool.
My favorite one for the Kickstarter. That's just
Hmm.
like it's not the disposable wet palettes. Like you know what I mean? Just that like right at the gate, like that's going in your bag. That's a thick item. Everyone's getting a miniature from Monument Hobbies texture trainers. You're getting a Monument Hobbies brush set and Game Envy brush set. So you have like months worth of paintbrushes. Like it's I mean it's like it's out of control. That's not even before and this is all before like Elrix is revealed to me what they're sending.
Mm.
And Elrix just for my 9 year sent me 10 $100 value gift bags. So it's
Nice.
this is just gift bag shit, dude. You know what I mean? This isn't even and I think the word on the street is we're also getting mystery box swag from Spiky Bits.
Yes, I hear there'll be some mystery boxes. The
So
old the old standby. You know, I've been doing this longer than this
I
podcast.
have a memory of like you in the old apartment
Yeah.
in Richmond, like the apartment they moved you out of because like they were doing renovations or some shit. Remember?
Yep.
And
That happened.
and like the air conditioner was busted or something, and you're out there scooping little bags. It was like a pound, like fat sacco bits was the promo.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
The I'm making arrangements for the Fast Sack of Bits too.
Yeah.
For this year. Well,
That
maybe
that was before this podcast. We were on a different podcast at the time.
we were. Oh, how the times change.
Yeah. Even in chat, John Patrick's like he's jealous he can't make it to Bourbon Boulders. Understood. We have 12 tickets left.
Well, this is just year one, hopefully, I
Yeah.
think, right?
Well, we and in a vacuum, perfect world, it's not relegated to once a year, and it's not relegated to the same location every year because it's really about finding the most premium location scouting
Mm,
in different regions and bringing a different theme to each event is really the dream. We already have scouted locations in other states.
nice.
Like we have this like baller ass spot in Texas actually. Like so you can imagine the theme would be different,
Mm.
you know? So, but we have 12 tickets left halfway through. Uh the event's looking out of control, the catering list is looking out of control. My CPA and our business attorney partners, spreadsheet meeting after spreadsheet meeting, uh, constantly tweaking the budget to facilitate the maximum value to our clientele. Like so, it's looking really exciting. So, just that's our current update on the event, which is
Mm.
crazy because that actually is kind of an interesting feeder to tonight's topic, right? Because like it's about the history and the legacy of of kind of organized play. And so like it's funny that like it's come so far. But that was really the hot topic of the day, to answer your question with more
Well, I think
words than necessary.
no, it's good. I'm excited for it. I'm just glad this one's within driving distance for me at least. So hopefully I will not drive to Texas again. Sorry.
Oh my god, I'll never forget it when you drove that little white van you bought from the bar,
It wasn't little.
full
It
ass,
was something
full
out of the
size
episode
van.
of Law and Order.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
SVU
Oh, yeah,
specifically,
yeah. SVU, not regular
not
Law
a
and Order.
regular lawn.
Yeah, you see those vans on those shows.
Yeah,
Yeah, I had one of those to move stuff.
and I remember you driving that thing all the way to Austin, and AC busted halfway through.
I think my back got
You
irreparably damaged
permanently
from that.
permanent back wreckage. Like I remember
Yeah.
like this is like the old days of like Google like Hangouts. And I think we like Google Hangout on multiple phone calls while you were driving across the country. Like,
Probably.
and I have like memories of like you in like just various different poses, looking worse and worse and closer to death. That eventually you stopped somewhere and got them to put like Freon in your AC, which lasted for like
And
15 minutes.
yeah, there was no AC in that thing. It was beyond repair. We just had to tough it out, you know. I
You had
had to
like
take some
a little
layers
fan
off.
on the dashboard.
I remember I was driving through Louisiana, I think it was, and there was a state cop in the middle, the U-turn lane in the middle, and I was in the fast lane, and I saw him like staring, like he was gripping the wheel, like he was thirsting, like he thought he had something, and then he was looking, and he saw me, and I saw him, and our eyes met, and he immediately looked super disappointed
Yeah.
that he was like, I'm not even gonna bother with this
Not even
dude.
bother with this guy. He's having the worst few days of his life.
Yep. So I think I was definitely speeding in this poor van. He's just like, whatever. Those were the days. Life was a lot simpler,
Facts. So
man.
let's jump into some news so then we can figure out how we're gonna slice up this topic tonight. To anyone in chat, I've thrown some prompts out there. We could use your help on this. Organized play, legacy,
Oh man.
questions or comments. You could just make comments. You don't even have to ask questions. Rob, what's happening in the news today?
There's I don't know, there's quite a bit. I think after the last podcast, the somebody leaked the Imperial Knights Codex from the literal bathtub, double leaks, which I thought was hilarious and good on them. Whoever's got that set to do that, well played, very well played. Um, so we obviously diced that all up and did a whole like breakdown of it, what we thought of it at least. Knights are very different now. Not sure what to make of that. Then we got Monday. We got the Dukari reveal, and now remember, so Games Workshop's pivoting their whole preview thing again. There won't be a preview, from what I understand, at LVO. Um, there's nothing on the schedule or anything like that. So there's no GW preview at LVO here in 3 weeks or whatever it is. But there is maybe a preview at Warhammer Day, which is usually in the middle of October. Now, last year at Nova, we got a preview. It was pretty terrible. They just like talked a lot and gave us some roadmaps, and they were just like, stuff's coming. And of course, none of it really lined up because they said Imperial Knights was coming out in January. That didn't happen. Or, excuse me, Q1. That didn't really happen. It was pretty lackluster, to be honest with you. And then it's the Warhammer Day 2024, we actually got some decent news. They talked about the battle forces they revealed those. They teased Emperor's Children, which was cool. And then, obviously we got those in like March-ish. So that ended up being a better preview. So I'm kind of hoping that they follow suit this year and show some stuff off there. But we're in this weird like in betweensies because we know the last codex is coming. We don't know if it's going to be 2025 or 2026. I mean, if they follow the pattern, it will be Q4 for Drakari. And a lot of people are kind of bummed, it seemed like, because there's so much of the range really needs a refresh and to not be fine cast too, right? So there's those considerations, and everybody's screaming for Vect. And Vect was cool. It was a cool model back in the day. I don't know if they could replicate it as far as um, his accessory models. We'll just leave it at that. That'll be a bold choice if they do something like that. But I think people are, just like we saw today with the balanced data slate. People on Reddit were frothing for it, so thirsty. And I think that the more and more people like say things and they hear things and they rationalize it and they try to like manifest it, it doesn't mean it's going to come true. Like, think about it. That model, Lady Malaise or whatever, she that sprue was revealed and that the copyright on it was 2023, and we're not even sure we're going to get it in 2025. Like, that's how much GW has pivoted and slowed things down and spread things out and really changed the way they do things. And they're doing it now with previews. Like, we're seeing more and more previews on like Mondays. So it's really hard to say. And like I said, we're getting into that in betweensies where we know there's a new edition on the horizon. We know the last codex, right? So what are they going to come out with to entice us, to keep us engaged for that next like 6 to 8 months? And a lot of times it's like some sort of campaign, like it was Boarding Action, last edition, and then the edition before that it was Psychic Awakening. And there's all these books and buy these things and Boarding Action, and you can still play it in 10th. Nobody plays it in 10th. It's just people are on to the gimmicks, right? And to that point, let me show you this. So you got the new Knight that just came out. It's $195, right? Well, all I had to do was go on Colts and buy a STL, and here's 3D printed parts that somebody already designed, looking at the pictures from the previews, that exactly fit the new Knight Defender model. And I'm not going to spend $194 on a new Knight. I'm just going to spend $8 and print out, for the file, and print out these bits here. And if I can get a license and sell these, I will. And that's the world we're at. Is the value proposition is it's changing.
I think
so fast.
this is like also one of those topics we talk about. How many people like to say, including us on occasion, it's too much, too fast. GW, slow your fucking roll. Too many codexes, too many model releases, too much FOMO.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second they slow it down, we're all like, oh, GW, fucking us over again. And it's like,
well, I didn't say that.
No, you didn't. But I'm like, this is a thing. This is a commonly discussed topic, but without as harsh words or harsh criticisms as the way I just framed it. I think it's entirely possible, based on like sales and profits and their annuals. I don't think they care about it the same way they used to care about it. And maybe they're finally realizing that most of this hobby is on paper. And we've gotten the most amount of paper adjustments to this hobby than we've ever gotten before in the last 2 years. And the least amount of new releases in since like 2019 era.
Yeah, I agree. And I think the reason for the pivot was just sustainability. It wasn't sustainable by Games Workshop because of, name and issue, talent drain, just labor, getting the bots right. There's still stores getting orders that are effed up in different boxes, and like it doesn't make any sense. And a lot of it's because of the bots, and they're adding more bots. So okay, there's just their finance system runs off Windows from the 90s, y'all. Like, and Wyatt's even said their point of sale system previously ran off one of those too, and he would know because he used to work for a Games Workshop store. So, um, there's a lot of stuff out there like that really, it's great that they're doing so well. But when you put when you put the microscope on it, like there's a lot of things in this hobby that's not sustainable. And the fact that it's just so accessible, like I didn't have to search very hard to get these Night Defender parts. And and the fact that the talent's out there just as a hobby to make these 3D printed parts that perfectly fit the plastic kit it's just we're living in a new age where it's just amazing.
It's
Um
almost like GW, as we mentioned before, could model themselves after the old iTunes model, the old iPod.
well,
You know what I mean? They could license with all the top 3D printers and just sell STLs, which are obviously reverse engineerable and piratable for sure. But
mhm.
99.9% of people would be incredibly willing to fork up the reasonable costed money for the official STL. And if they just got into that market, they'd make that's free money. That's infinite profit.
Well, it is free money, but you can't control it. And I think until there's some
That's
controls, GW loves their control,
and
and
that's
that's
what
not
Steve
going to be a
Jobs did,
thing.
man. He was like, bro, we can't, you can't always control it, guys. Let's just get in on top of this.
Well,
The
you're
world's
not going to
the world's moving away from this, dude. We're not going into Sam Goody anymore, bro.
the problem is when you have a CEO that literally actively shields his online presence and his literal identity, that level of control is not going to warrant does not translate to
I mean,
GW
you're
being
honestly
open
right, because like
STL.
I wasn't ever like really too concerned with his like how his privacy, but I'm like, it does speak to the control that we've known that the company has always been about. So,
Um,
I mean,
I agree,
solutions don't matter.
but
They don't care. It's
no, they really don't.
but they are releasing a lot of pen and paper updates. It seems like they're focusing a lot on like the stuff that doesn't cost a lot and doesn't take a lot of resource to keep us interested. And that's only because organized play is at an all-time high. That's why that works. Because we have like feeders, you know about these things. I mean, back in the old days, an FAQ could drop and you wouldn't know anything about it for like 4 months.
I mean, the world is definitely more interconnected, and I think everybody has everybody has an opinion as we see and continue to see, and yeah, it's just it's such a weird place to be in. It's such a backwards thinking to be so successful, I suppose, is how I look at it. So, anyways, Jakari's coming out. We got the Lady Belays. The new Archon looks pretty cool. He's holding a Crucible of Malediction. Very neat. Kind of like the old third edition Codex. What, third? Yeah, I guess it would be third or fourth Codex cover. Um, that was cool to see. They got a Battle Force coming out, which the Archon will be paywalled in. Good luck getting it. I guess it'd probably be about $240 if I had to guess. Um, what else was there? Oh, new Combat Patrol. I kind of like the old Combat Patrol. I think is better value, and it seems like it gives you more. It was one of the top four value wise as far as Combat Patrols go. The new one kind of gets you on the Coven side of things. Um, I'm not sure that's the best. Obviously, these things aren't for veterans, as we talked about, especially the Grey Knight one. Um, but the big question is, will they get a full range refresh? And I would have to say, well, not in 10th edition. What's going to come after Drakari campaign wise? Who knows? But I really hope they thought through the value proposition on whatever it is that they come out with. That in general. So the big rumors about the balanced data slate leaks. Um, it seems like orcs might get fixed because they're kind of underperforming with the quick. Um, Kenny, will you leave him alone? Like, stop.
What? I'm just chilling, bro. Don't micromanage what I'm doing over in the next level painting chat.
I can't help it. It's coming up in the chat.
Well, only you can see that.
I'm not the only one that can see it.
I mean, let me see. How many people are over there?
There's a lot of people on Twitch that can see it.
There are 18 people over there that can read this.
So?
All right. I'm sorry to an unnamed individual.
The two things I've learned in all my years is one, people don't like to be warned. No matter how dire and no matter how much you're right, people don't want to be warned. Ever. They're just like, well, he was always nice to me, or, I don't mind supporting Games Workshop. At the end of the day, people don't want to be warned. And people don't want to be called out on their bullshit either, Just let them. When we're growing up, like, our parents all knew. Well, they all knew the shit we were doing. Like, we thought we were getting away with stuff. We were totally not getting away with anything. Our parents knew what we were doing.
Bro, I got away with so much shit. My parents did.
No, you did not.
Bro, I one time snuck an entire 6-pack of Smirnoff Ices into my bedroom right past my mom and dad. They didn't know shit.
Well, okay, maybe some stuff.
Drank that whole 6-pack playing N64.
They probably realized when you started throwing up like sugary mess. Anyways, so orcs might get fixed. Weird. It seems like Death Guard's still shockingly doing well. So like, they might get some more nerfs. I don't know. Knights are just in a weird place, like I said. I don't know. It's really hard to say at this point. We did a big post on the best third-party alternative miniatures, and it's been around for a while. We updated it, and it really updated it recently, and I put it back out, and it did really well. And I was. It seems like people are really interested in the other games out there, and the other miniatures out there. And so, if you haven't seen it yet, check that post out. Got some really good engagement. Speaking of which, One Page Rules announced, and I sent them some interview questions, but they haven't got back to me yet because I was really interested in this. So they announced that they are doing a plastic starter set. It's their first plastic miniatures. They're all like one piece, hard plastic sort of deal. They don't look bad. Obviously they're not, multi-part kits and all that. That's extremely expensive, but it's very ambitious, I think. But I do like the fact that the rules are so accessible. They just put out a 3.5 edition. Well, it's a beta. And what I like about it is that, they're like straight up like, hey man, this is beta. Let's play test this together. It isn't like the kind of like, I mean, let's be honest. Nobody can dispute the fact that 10th edition is basically crowdsourced development for Games Workshop for 40k. Like, it just is. Like, they didn't play test it. It's impossible. We did a post on all the permutations and all the time it would take to play test all the rules against each other and things like that. It's all on the fly, ad hoc.
Can't be done.
We are the beta testers,
which is relevant to the topic tonight as well, because we talked about this. It's kind of like what I just mentioned before. Sometimes we get mad because there's too many releases. Sometimes we get mad because it's not enough releases. But also sometimes we get mad when they do indexes, right? And they get rid of all the codexes, and they hate that. And they're like, just drop all the codexes at once. And then they did, which was 10th edition. Even though they called it an index, they were codexes because they had abilities, stratagems, and detachment rules. Yep. Guess what? It can't be balanced. And it was real imbalanced for like half a year. I mean, it was over the top imbalanced, which, funny, it didn't really mess anything up. Like, it doesn't. So we worked it out, and they stayed on top of their meta Mondays. They stayed on top of their balances. And now we are the game, and even though is the least amount of 40k I've ever played since the beginning of my career, it's incredibly well represented faction across the board, man. It is undeniably pretty solid right now. Yes, we had Death Guard popping off at the mouth. They're still popping off, but that's probably because everyone dusted off their insanely popular Death Guard from a few editions ago and are still playing them. So they're probably just doing good by sheer willpower. You know, like people are playing them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what happens every time Knights get somewhat good. Everyone's got a Knight army.
Or, just had the same one for years,
Well,
I
that's what I'm saying.
suppose.
Like when they dropped, everyone
Mhm.
had them, dude. And many people have them built and spray primed and never painted them. There's a couple
No,
of armies out there that are so fast to bring to market. You know what I mean?
yeah. Um, I think, yeah. um, so I mean, I think this is a good thing, for some to put pressure on Games Workshop like this. There's also a free starter, quick start. You can download the rules. You can actually download their miniatures. They have like some card paper ones you can physically print out, or you can get the STLs and print them out and play with them and learn the game. But I mean, the basic rules are 2 pages. There's missions and things. It's one, okay, it's front and back, but it's 1 page, whatever. um I just think it's a good thing for Games Workshop to have some sort of competition out there, because at the end of the day, we really haven't seen them have to answer to anybody since the old X-Wing days. And um but yeah, very curious how this goes. If it opens and it does very well, I think you'll see a lot more of stuff like this and a lot more pressure put on Games Workshop. Um, Speaking of pressure on Games Workshop, I didn't really get this, and I don't know if anybody noticed it besides me, and maybe it doesn't even matter at the end of the day. But Games Workshop initially, with their Soulboy Gravelords preview, um, showed a spearhead that was coming out new, and it never happened. And it was very confusing because when they did come out, there's the spearhead that came out with right after the army set, and when all the individual kits came out and the sweet dragon lord and everything, they came out with a normal spearhead that had already existed for like a year or two, and it was like, where's the new one? So then so then they just came out with it. It's part of the pre-orders this week, which is just utterly confusing. Like, is the other one out of print now? But if it was out of print, why did you re-release it like 3 months ago? Nobody knows. So we've got the Hellsmiths of Hashut coming out, which are basically the cast dwarfs, which seem to be doing okay in pre-orders from all the stores I pulled. A lot of folks are very interested in them. I personally think they look great. It'd be really cool to see an army of them on the tabletop. So the army set's coming out this week, along with the Snarl Pack, um, the Git Pack, Snarl Pack, whatever riders. Um, but it's also confusing because is that the new Gloomspite Gits spearhead, or is there 2 now for each of these factions? Are we getting 2 spearheads for each? Nobody knows. And GW is just crickets, so I guess we'll see when they hit the web store. I don't know if anybody cares about that, but it's just something I noticed. AMG also put out new pre-orders for MCP, so we're getting a box with Spider-Man, Spider Ham, which is hilarious, Silk and Spider Noir, and then another box with Prowler, Spider-Man 2099, and Ultimate Spider-Man as well. So those should be out. I think they come out Q4 if I recall correctly. So I've got a couple. I've got actually a box of each of those on pre-order.
It's
So
funny.
can't wait
Yeah,
to get those.
did you see David's MCP terrain on Instagram?
Mm-mm.
You gotta check it out.
No,
Are you friends with him on Instagram?
I don't know.
I'll have to,
Your brother, David?
yeah.
I must be, because I always see like when y'all hang out pictures. I don't know.
Yeah, so like,
Maybe.
that's like his last like hobby bastion
Oh, that's good.
has been that, right? I remember I painted a couple minis for my nieces for like Christmas a few years back.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And so like he paints like a bunch of his favorite minis. He's got a guy he pays locally to paint like essentially the entire collection.
So many models.
But he
Holy
also
cow.
does the terrain, and he puts all of his effort into the terrain. He just finished a few sets of terrain with like really, really solid cool little graphics and adverts and stuff. He used like AI and created all these like relevant ads in the space. There's even a boner pill ad, bro.
Oh, that's cool.
It's sick, dude. And it's something to be proud of. It's just that he doesn't really have a hobby outlet to show it off, but he did post them on Instagram recently, and I showed it off the other day on Twitch. I wanted to put it on your radar so that you can take a look at it and see if it was article worthy for someone holding it down. I mean, you know what's so sick? He plays it, packs it up, and he travels for work. He's in a hotel all week. He sets up the minis and plays with his coworkers in the hotel, and then he comes
Oh,
home
nice.
and him and his daughters play that game.
Well, I mean, you only need and that's an interesting thing. You only need a 3-inch mat. And what I like most about MCP, and and I feel like there's a little bit of a learning curve if you go from 40k to playing Shatterpoint or MCP, is it's fourth edition style. So it's basically tier terrain, right? So you have heights. And it doesn't matter if you can see Apocalypse over a bus or a car, so to speak. You can't see Apocalypse because he's size 4. Or excuse me, you can see Apocalypse because he's size 4. He's ginormous, so you can see him over most things. But when you got like somebody like Spider-Man, who's size 2, behind a car that's generally size 2, you can't. And then when you're drawing line of sight, it's basically bird's eye view. So it's just like you're drawing lines, and if you cross through something, they get cover, but you can see them based on the size of the terrain and the size of the model, which is listed on all the data cards. But wait, it gets even better. You ready for this? So the terrain, you can literally pick it up, and on the bottom of the terrain, it says the height of the terrain on it.
Nice.
Like,
And that's going to play again into our topic. Fourth edition was a hobby renaissance because of that exact same thing you're talking about.
Yep.
It was a tournament organized play renaissance, bro. Yeah, I just felt like bringing it up because I know that you're a big fan of MCP, and
I am, and Shatterpoint.
David just recently put together and he says his friends he plays with, his coworkers, they're so spoiled because they don't really play a lot of tabletop games, but so like he can't really explain to them how spoiled they are that every game they've ever played is on like top tier terrain, all painted minis. And they're like,
People
"What do you
don't
mean?
realize, dude.
Isn't this just how you play the game?" And he's like, "Sure."
It's true.
Like, it's so cool. But yeah, I'll send you that link so that maybe you can take a look at it. It's worthy of internet validation.
I will check it out. All right, that's all the news I got. So look for more previews, and who knows what we'll see for the end of 10th into 11th.
Heard that. All right, let's take a quick commercial break. Let's talk about our sponsors, and then let's before that, Long War Doubles LVO.
Oh yeah, that's coming up soon.
Long War Doubles LVO next month, less than a month. Wyatt still in the hospital, but he's blasting updates on our player pack. The link tree is still active. The Discord channel still active. So if you have any questions, field them in Discord or send them to the Long War email, whatever you want to do. We are not using the new cards. What are they called? The comeback mechanic.
Oh, the challenger.
Is that what they're called?
Challenger cards? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's been a big point of contention for
We're not
people.
using them. Our TO is our head TO.
I think that's probably for the best, to be honest.
This isn't just this is just firing out the cuff. He's part of XBZ, and he's deeply embedded in tons of discussions with Green Banner and everybody. And it's just, for our event, it's just the right decision. So that's a big update. So I'll see you guys all in October. Let's talk about our sponsors for a minute and then jump into this meat and potatoes.
Wait, let me address 2 things in chat real quick. I think KR Quinn asked about White Scar's Combat Patrol. So they're not even on pre-order yet. That's just people assuming that, they are 170. All Combat Patrols are 170, but I guess they figure it might go for more because there's going to be the Jet Blade paywalled inside. But I mean, that's kind of dicey. That's a little um bold. And yes, I think it was Recoil that said that the Epic Mantic's Epic Warpath is on pre-order now. I'm very hopeful for that because it's been 2 years since Legion Imperialis came out, and uh, actually I think less than that, and they've already kind of gone through it, and I think honestly they've run out of things to put out, and the cost of a 3,000 point army is kind of ridiculous. So to see Mantic put out something that I can only imagine it's going to be a viable alternative at a lower cost, and with probably a more solid rule set. I definitely encourage anybody that has the models from Games Workshop to maybe take a look at it and see what you think with an open mind, because they have not done any epic scale stuff right in the past 6 years or so. That's all I got to say about that.
And we're back. So let's jump into these show notes. Rob,
I
good
actually
job.
didn't go anywhere. I've been here the whole time.
And people who watch it live realize we just stand here quietly.
Yeah, they're like, wait, so you're just standing there?
So talking about the OG kind of history and legacy,
Mhm.
I've got some great Q&A scribbled down, so we'll budget time for that from the chat. History and legacy topic 1. Rob, what early Warhammer 40k tournaments or conventions do you think set the gold standard for the hobby?
Like, do they still have to be happening or just in
No.
general? Um, well, I mean, obviously my first choice would be Adepticon. There was there was two that I was impressed with, and I don't think either of them exist anymore. The Mechanicon, which is in Pennsylvania, that was pretty cool because the way they did their terrain, um, it was similar to, what was it, 13th Company or 11th Company? What was the one in Myrtle Beach?
11th Company podcast.
11th Company, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That was cool because they just put out a piece of brown paper, craft paper, and then the
traced all
terrain.
the terrain.
They traced all the terrain in it, so when it would get pushed around, you just would put it back, which I think was great, and that would even be a good thing for the layout, the current layouts that we have now, because sometimes they get pushed and nudged and things, and then all of a sudden your armature can't pass through that 4-inch gap. Those were really cool, and I like the things that were more narrative, and they would give higher scores, and the overall wasn't as big as like the Renaissance Man sort of thing, like the paint score, the hobby scores.
Yeah, no, that's a good answer. And Adepticon, obviously, as far as like a modern convention,
Oh yeah,
gold standard. Now,
yeah.
you gotta give credit out where it's due, though. Like GTs, we ain't never seen nothing like that when we went to our first GT. And do you remember GTs was the tag associated with Games Workshop showing up in America and throwing a big ass tournament. Now we use them for, we have like
Hmm.
different wordings on everything, but the only GTs in the whole country were GW.
Yep.
Nobody else is running that shit. I remember my first GT rolling in there and mind blown. Now, by today's standards, it was just a big room with a bunch of tables, nothing special. But
Right.
holy shit, dude. Game changer, bro. Walking into that
Hmm.
room, seeing that many people playing, like this is like third edition when it really started popping off, when all the GTs across the country started, and then games days and everything like that. But two different categories, obviously, and I think both equally valid. Which event would you say had the biggest impact on shaping the competitive 40k scene? The competitive 40k scene.
I would have to say initially, I mean, the GTs originally, because there was that one website that would rank people based off of
Rankings
like
HQ.
Rankings HQ. That's it, off of arbitrary like events they played in, and they would have to do so much work to find these things, and then people were like getting high off that, and like, oh, I'm ranked to like whatever. And then, Reese and everybody came in and did the,
No, and Karen Quinn
was
makes
it
a
that?
good point in chat. He's like Bay Area Open because ITC, and so
Right. Yeah.
like
Cause then it
that's
transitioned.
history, right? Like that's history. Like
Yeah.
Bay
It
Area Open.
transitioned to that. Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I guess that was the initial
It's
one.
hard
And,
not to say GTs though too, because that put it in our mind. That put it in
right.
our brain.
But if you've only been in the hobby for like the last
Seventh,
15
let's
years
say
or
seventh
so,
edition is a pretty common starting point.
yeah, then you really didn't have that whole GT experience where there was like, 7 or 8 of them, over the states. And but I wanted to say Hard Boys because that's what really brought out all the
Two
sweaties
different categories,
because
right? We got a company event and we've got a independent, right? Like Ard Boys company event,
Mhm.
absolutely, bro, spot on answer, dude.
Yeah, I mean, it started at stores, it went to regionals, and it went to like a national like kind of championship thing at, I think it was at a games day normally, was where the finals were at, and you would win a whole army. And none of it, absolutely none of it, had to be painted. So there was no effing hobby score. And it was higher points than normal. So it encouraged sales. And that's why it was basically rolled out by the US trade sales team. And they thought it was the greatest thing ever. And maybe it was, maybe it wasn't, but it definitely led us down the path to kind of where we are now with super hyper competitive
Mhm.
gaming.
No, you bring up a good point there too, man. The whole concept of not having to pay your army and having it be a bigger point cost actually
Mm-hmm.
became kind of the standard for a while. Because prior to that, anybody listening to this podcast, who started in seventh, sixth, eighth, anything like that, ninth. The thing is that the old days, the GT
Mm-hmm.
days, you would never even thought of showing up without a painted army. It's not
Oh
even
no.
it's not
Mm-mm.
even a thing, bro. It's
And some
impossible.
people that if you won, they wouldn't try to win a GT with the
It was
same
actually a
army
rule.
again.
It was actually
Oh yeah, was
GW's
it?
rule.
Okay, yeah. You're right.
You couldn't win again with the same faction that year. And so, but regardless, like we did have hobby scores. We did have weighted hobby scores in every Rogue Trader tournament, GT, etc., across the country, and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes comp scores even. So, and that was like 1,500 points, 1,750 and 1,850. Hard Boys was like 2,000 no painting score. That kind of actually set the tone. Just a history lesson. That kind of set the tone for where we lived for a long time.
Yep.
Let me run back to the spreadsheet. How have tournaments
But
changed from the Rogue Trader days to the modern ITC era?
oh man, how much time you got? Well, one, I mean, everything's real time. Like people get caught cheating, like on stream. Like, but somehow people can still go through events and cheat the whole way through, and nobody says anything to them. Well, I guess that was just a GW event, so I don't know. That maybe that's a misnomer, but those are definitely the outliers, right? Um, Everything's much more real time, but I suppose that's the state of where we are as a society. But I think there's definitely if I had to make an assumption or an observation, I would say there's a bigger divide between the competitive folks and the people that just want to have fun and go to events and not necessarily be like, yo, I'm not trying to get first. Um, the folks that are getting first are on a different astral plane than the majority of the rest of us. and it puts, and we've talked about this before, it puts a lot of pressure not only on content creators that this is their livelihood because your worth is established by how you rank at some of these events and whatever and how many followers you have and things. And I don't think that's healthy. And I don't personally think, if I would practice a lot and I would go to an event and I would be happy if I got like top 20, top 25. And that was consistently what I did personally. But I'm not in that place anymore. This has become more of a job to me than that's something I enjoyed as a hobby. So, no, never do what's your hobby and turn it into your work. And
Mhm.
uh,
Well, it's
yes,
interesting.
but
I think that's a good segue to actually some of these Q&A, because you're kind of touching on a lot of the Q&A just in this one
dang it.
topic. Like, so let's switch it over. There's a lot of comments and a lot of nostalgia in here, and you guys already listening to this understand what we're talking about. And we got Kara Quinn in here, the oldest man on the internet. He says, this is a statement. I think the hobby was a lot better before everyone became a fucking expert.
I
Yet
saw
they
that.
still get rules wrong consistently, and it's kind of
Bro.
hilarious, to be honest.
And if
That's kind of like this internet thing you were talking about. Like, everyone's an expert now, right? Like, coaching, everything, content
yeah,
creation.
I'm not mad at the parallel content creators out there. And I learned a bit, even though I was in the right, calling out a content creator that basically dined himself out, that he did something a little unsavory, and now that particular content creator doesn't, nobody wants, no manufacturer wants to give him stuff, including Games Workshop, because he kind of showed his ass, so to speak. And he's still doing it. Like, just the other day, somebody mentioned something on a Reddit, and he had to couldn't help himself, had to chime in about it. And I think that's what separates the folks that do this as a living from the folks that do it as a hobby, that want to do it as a living. And there's so many people out there, and there's so many people fighting for that share of voice, and really just comes down to who do you like, and who resonates with you, and who do you enjoy listening to, and things. But um I think you really have to be careful saying things are the making declarative statements, because nobody is an expert. None of us. Not you, Kenny, not me, not any content creator out there. We're all passionate amateurs that have gotten into this hobby and try to make it their thing. And to be declarative, and to say things like that, and to go back and forth with folks, it's just it's tiring and it's bothersome. um so I think, find what you enjoy, and the folks you enjoy interacting with, and what you enjoy about this hobby, and you'll just be better off. Not all of us are going to go to an event and place first, top 10, top 20.
Hmm.
It's just, it's impossible. There's too
Fair.
many people.
John Patrick, he says the commodification of winning, like going from person winning, being just a good player, to people getting coached like a Soviet gymnast to win.
That's so, I love that. I love that statement. Here's the thing. Let me just ask everybody, just step back from this for a second. What do you get if you win a Warhammer 40k tournament?
Validation.
Like, oh, okay, great. You know what? I get up in the morning and I'm alive. That's validation for me. Like,
It's not
I
enough for
did it
some. Not
again.
enough for some people.
Bro, I guess you just got to redefine what makes you
No,
happy
I
in
think
life.
a lot of people walk around the world with their cuppeth is empty in
Sure.
terms of real life validation, right? Because you can try to manufacture validation on the internet. You can have a lot of followers on Instagram, but at the end of the day, you know in your real ass heart that that's invalid, because you need to
Hmm.
be validated face to face for something you earned. You can't buy that. You could buy happiness. I do it every day, but you can't buy validation. It validates it by nature. So I think a lot of people, it's pure validation. And some people have lost their way because of that pursuit of validation, which is one of the most important things that humans require to be happy. So now they've become obsessed. And I love the Soviet gymnast analogy.
Oh, it's so
Shout out to
good.
John Patrick. That's a good, because you're not wrong. And you see it all kind of feeds into what you were talking about before. Jeffrey White says organized play. In the past, sportsmanship and painting modeling were explicit aspects for evaluation, including peer
Yep.
evaluation during tournaments and organized play, even at local levels where I spent my time. How much does the loss of these criteria reflect changing player interest? And how much does it reflect corporate interests to generate churn in competitive play to seal more models, to sell more models. How much is this change associated with the changing generations and their styles? It's a big statement and question. Jeffrey White.
I mean, everything's going to change with, each generation. I mean, just look at the world today. Every generation blames the one before, whatever the song. But like at the end of the day, I think it all comes down to personal accountability. Like, and I'll use myself as an example. I won a big tournament. My list was 10 points over. And I was like, I diamond myself out. I did a big article. I was very proud of my victory. I was like,
I
here's
made
my
that
list.
thumbnail for you. It was the best thumbnail I've ever made.
I did it. Like, look at me. And, it didn't take but a day for people to be like, you're a cheater. And I'm like, I guess I am. All right, well, I'm not gonna play in competitive events for a while. And I knew the guy that got second, and I hit him up, and I'm like, hey man, I didn't win this trophy. Let me ship this to you. I personally haven't heard of anybody doing that, that had a similar experience, or that, got in trouble, disqualified, what have you. So I think at the end of the day, it's about personal accountability. And that's obviously like a big, like example that isn't for everybody. But I think when you're across the table for somebody, you do something, it's about playing with your opponents and not against them. And I had a terrible game, about 6 months ago against somebody that really just wanted to play me, and didn't have the best social skills. And I tried my best, but after 5 hours, I was like, hey man, I gotta go. Like this isn't working for me. You win. Thanks for coming out. But I think I think you have to have that mental double check to be like, am I the drama? And if you are the drama, own the drama. Like, change your
There's
fucking
actually
shit.
like a checklist you can go online, and it's like a drama queen checklist.
Oh my.
I rate high. I'm not gonna lie.
Hmm.
I score poorly on that test.
Sometimes I am the drama, I'll be honest with you. But
But look, the question Jeffrey White mentioned about like how that all that which we've been talking about kind of throughout this topic, the
mhm,
loss of hobby score was a big milestone in the history of this hobby as it is now. GW pulled out. That's a big part.
they did.
The GTs that we all loved and grew up on when was it Kirby came into office or became the CEO, they kind of just pulled out of the whole competitive scene. Right at the end of fourth.
Well, he was the CEO. It's when they started doing poorly that
Right.
they pulled out of all of it.
And so they left us without a dope beat to step to. So
True.
we did it. And so all the
Hmm.
people who came together in this country across all the regions who organized to play for us in the vacuum created by GW's departure were mostly the most motivated individuals amongst us who were typically the best generals. And that was an award. Best general was typically the guy who got the highest battle points but didn't win the event because he didn't have a dope painted army, bad composition, and maybe his sportsmanship score lacked because he dick stomped all of his opponents and he spammed good units, right? Like, so those guys who were really into winning and going to tournaments still, they took over. And this is mostly my opinion and of my observation, but
Mm.
they got to write the new rules, and the new rules became win loss with no weighted hobby score. But it did become a pretty concise way to score victory. And then eventually, Renaissance Man came back, and that is the overall champion, and that did include hobby score, and so now we live in a world where both are true. But nah,
Hmm.
it definitely defined the way we play the game today. The removal of those elements of the hobby led to the 3-color minimum, problems, just 3 coats of spray paint
Mm-hmm.
crap, all that nonsense. So it definitely detracted from the hotness for a while, and then it came
Yeah.
back. And on the subject of the generational thing, yeah, like young people today have a completely different set of uh, interests and ways that they keep their attention focused on subjects. That so that's always gonna inform how a company sells a product.
I hope they're cognizant of all that.
OnePlus saves. He says Death Guard and Knights gave me high blood pressure. He wrote it. I just copy and pasted it. Kara Quinn, again, the oldest man on the internet, says OG tourneys. I miss custom missions,
Mm.
but they were a pain to write. I also miss interesting terrain, but it was often messed up.
Yeah, there was sometimes there wasn't enough playtest put into it. Even so, the GW missions like the breakout and things like that were stacked one way or the other, attacker, defender. So there,
That
you
was the
know,
goal. So again, anyone who's only started this hobby recently, and when I say recently, I mean after fifth. Okay.
oh yeah, oh yeah,
Most
meat grinder, yeah.
most tournaments we played in, it was about learning the format. And what that meant was every
Oh,
regional event had a different mission
so
pack.
different.
You had to go on there, you had to read the missions, be like, yo, some wild shit, dude. And like things like deep strike. Oh, mission 2 says we allowed to deep strike. And mission 1 and 2 we can't, or 3 we can't.
Can't, yeah.
Oh,
Or
infiltrate
knife
mission
fight,
3.
or yeah.
Like you'd have to just cater to the event, and it was super exciting
It was because
beyond
you would
belief.
crack out on your list, you crack out on, your list for each different event, and now it's, well, it's giving people high blood pressure because everybody's taking the same shit,
Mm-hmm.
and I see
I mean,
I
like
see both sides.
third edition, 3.5 Chaos Codex. I have memories to this day of the most wild shit, the most custom shit I was ever doing in my life, with
Mm-hmm.
bringing shit nobody even thought of to different events because of the format.
Yep.
Like that is something I will miss forever.
I think a lot of that was the fun, and you've talked about that in the past, and I know, one of my hobbies now is not 40k, because it's become my job, which is fine. But I like other miniature games. Maybe I'll like playing 40k more with like one page rules or something, which is a possibility, I suppose. But I do a lot of Magic the Gathering now, and part of that is, cracking out to the list and the changing meta, and it's very, the meta in Magic. Well, the standard meta. There's different formats, of course. Standard's kind of like, well, the standard nowadays. Again, um, it's changed a lot. There's been some emergency bannings. Hey, where have we heard that? And they're moving up the next ban a couple of weeks because there's already an abusive. They did emergency bans, and then they tried to chop the whole top off so something wouldn't have its comeuppance, and they didn't go down far enough, and now there's going to be probably another one, and it's very divisive out there in Magic. So you're seeing across genres a lot of the same issues that we're seeing with Games Workshop, and what we're not seeing with Games Workshop is the tie-ins, the crossovers. With they call it universes beyond in Magic. Now we're about to get Spider-Man, and we're gonna get Avatar: Last Bender, which I don't care anything about. Don't care at all. Probably won't buy none of it, because I don't care about Avatar: The Last Airbender. I care about Spider-Man. I care about Final Fantasy. That was cool to see. I bought some of the Transformers stuff,
But
et
you see,
cetera, et
that's where
cetera.
that's where the age, like now those kids are playing the Airbender
And
kids.
Magic came out and said, and I'm wondering how much this parallels Games Workshop because they never actually said. But I think it's a lot higher because I know the demographics on the site are 26 to 34 mostly, right? That come to the site, I would say it's like 40 some percent. So a high percentage in that same demographic area. But Magic is different. Magic not only came out and said that only 15% of games are played in store, which is just wild when you think about that statistic. So you've got online stuff, you've got people playing in their kitchens, etc. 15% of all games are only played at stores. And then they said that their biggest demographic, oh, excuse me, they said that the people are most likely to get into Magic, they're new players, are 11 to 14 years old, which I think is why they're doing this Avatar Airbender, if I had to guess. Um, so it's really interesting to see them come out and be very forward about this. Um, it's an exciting time, and Magic's going to explode. You know, obviously, we're going to see another golden age in 40k when we get the new Space Marine 3, the new Dawn of War. It's going to bring a lot more people getting curious, getting what do we call it? What are we going to call it? Plastic curious, tabletop curious. I don't know.
So, last question before we shut it down for the night. Just want to get a dark horse. He said, "Will we ever go back to 1,500 points?" Probably not, but I am a strong believer in that point cost. But that's not the direction GBD wants to take us. If they did take us down to 1,500 points, they just make everything cost half as much. So it wouldn't matter. Whatever we did,
That's
like it doesn't matter if we all got together and said we're only playing 1,500 points across the country. Then they would be balancing this hobby to double our model count at 1,500 points. It wouldn't matter. So
yeah, they definitely want to sell some stuff.
it wouldn't matter. So no, it's never going to come back.
Yeah, I think the the price point is the price point. You know, the standard is a standard.
Yeah.
It's
not going to get cheaper, and it's no.
Yep.
And we want more models for our money, not less, right? So it's a hard sell. So, but no, but yeah, I back it. I miss those days. But anyway, solid topic, 2-man show. I think we covered a lot. Shout out to the chat for helping us with this one.
Yeah, appreciate all the questions.
We got one more week without Haspel. Maybe we'll get a guest next week. Maybe we won't. We'll see.
Maybe we'll remember before Wednesday. Who knows?
Heard that. Well, take us out of here,
We're
Rob.
stupid. All right, that's it for this one, y'all. Thanks for watching. Make sure to head on over to thelongwar.net for exclusive content, early access videos, and more. Become a veteran of the Long War today.